The river again. I remember my project from primary school where I made a map of the different ports of Beg River, what they were used for over the years, where the grain was shipped out of Ireland during the famine, where the people boarded the ships to America, coffin ships they were called. They either made it to America or you died on the way, and often you were so illiterate that you weren't even able to write to tell your family which it was. Then something clicks. We'll say it's for a school project. They consider it. Sylvia won't buy that, Fiona says. She's on to us already. No one else. She can't be the only one who knows about the supernatural stuff, and really it's more of a folklore question than a magic question. Who then? Rue asks, and I see him fiddling with his string around his neck. I can't help smiling every time I see it. I know exactly who. We practice our story, making sure we don't sound like desperate teenagers, which of course we are. The door of divination has a bell on the right ribbon attached. That is again wrong English. The door of divination has a bell with a red ribbon attached to it, not on a red ribbon. So there's a lot of misprints here. Sorry about that, guys. Makes me look thick as well. I do care a little bit because of my speech impediment. And it tinkles lightly as the three of us enter the shop. The woman in the balloon pants is there again. Maeve Chambers, she says, and I'm slightly unnerved. But how instantly she recognizes me. Hello, I say cheerfully. I didn't think you would remember me. She looks at me and to Rue, and back again, smiling softly. Of course I remember you. You have 3 E's in your name. Right? Well, my friend Fiona is doing a project on folklore, and I thought you might be the useful person to speak to. Well, of course, Fiona, I take it. She gestures to Vi, who already has her refill pad and the pen out. Hi, she says sheepishly. I'm doing a project on shared mythologies, like why some cultures have shared folklores, like hellhounds. Do you know everyone as hellhounds? Sorry, do you know everyone? Anyone should have been anyone that has hellhounds? Sure, look. It chuckles, the shopkeeper. Dogs are trained to be so vicious. In so many parts of the world, people are scared of them, right? Fiona smiles. I wanted to know what you knew about this. She passes the lyric to the housekeeper card, about the housekeeper card to her. So many mistakes, it's getting frustrating. I think it has an interesting parallel to the White Lady myth, don't you? The shopkeeper studies it in silence. Well, you've got the shopkeeper card and you've got the shopkeeper of the divination shop. So she passes the shopkeeper her notes, not a card. Okay, so now I understand. Do you know her? I haven't seen her in a good while, she says, her voice low. The song? No. I've never heard the song, but the housekeeper I am aware of. That's the card. How did you find out about her, Maeve? The three of us look sharply to one another. This is supposed to be Fiona's school project. I heard about it from my mother, Fiona, deflecting from me. She's a musician, and it's a song she sings around the house. I see, the shopkeeper says wearily. Well, what do you want to know? Where she came from, I push. What she is? The shopkeeper frowns and then straightens. It's an old Irish legend. Have you done the big house in history yet? Rue, Fiona and I all make fake noises. The shopkeeper looks disappointed by our lack of knowledge. Back in the olden days, the big house was what you would call, well, the big house, a rich house where the wealthy English would swain about and the Irish would serve them. Some houses were all right, paid their workers fairly and all that, but some were rancid. Absolutely devils, whipping, docking, wages, inhumane cruelty. Why did people work there then? Sure, there was so little work around that they were to count yourself lucky if you got a job in a big house. It was either that or immigrate, so the housekeeper worked there. Well, I believe there was some story, some kind of disease outbreak, tuberculosis maybe, children going down like flies. A group of female servants, mothers, pleaded with their employers to send for the doctor, and well, did they? They didn't, and the children died. The mothers were so bereaved that they didn't come to work. But do you know who did? The housekeeper, I whispered. The housekeeper, the woman, or something that looks like a woman, shows up for work. The next day, the house is empty. All the gentry are gone. That's the Hobnobs. Where was this? Rue asks with scrutiny. When was this? It's folks' story, she answered simply. It could have happened 100 years ago, or 200 years ago, or never at all. We are silent, in total awe. Fiona pipes up. So what, this a common thing? Did people like to call her that? Well, she says again, crossing her arms and thinking hard. This was still an island that believed in fairies, you know. There was a lot of space for magic and belief, so I imagine there was summoning practice around it. But it would have been understood to be black magic. The price would have to be high. I don't like black magic. I stay away from it. What do you mean? Magic. Like that you have to give big to get big, she says, sucking her teeth. You mean like a life for a life? Rue asks. That's a bit of a simplification, but something like that. Probably. In almost all magic, the sacrifice has to match the gain. That's why people give food at temples. It's not because they think the spirit is actually eating it. It's because you need to show that you are willing to make the sacrifice. Could someone summon the housekeeper again? Fiona presses. By accident even? The shopkeeper cocks her eyebrow. I thought this was for a school project. It is. She says absently. I need to sort some of the books out now, but you three feel free to look around. Whew, it's getting close. It's getting exciting. She says it quietly but firmly, as though this were not the first time the three stray teenagers came into the shop asking about revenge demons. We look around Rue. gravitates towards the crystals, Fiona towards the tarot, and I end up looking at the books next to her. I watch Fee for a moment, testing the weight of the cards in her hands, trying to tell which feels right. It might be cool if she starts reading tarot too. Sometimes that we could do together to make it fun again. I pulled a book out at random, The Beginner's Guide to Spellcraft by Alwyn Prayer Felton. Make-up name, Fiona says derisively, glancing over. I flick through the waxy pages. It doesn't look practically inspired. It's not the dusty tome with pentagrams and incantations. It is, however, very effusive about anyone can do witchcraft, and it's only a tenner, so I buy it. Here are some incantations I use. Alwyn Prayer Felton writes, but using another witch's chants can feel a little like wearing another person's underwear. Chant what you want, just make sure that both you mean it. A, you mean it, and B, it is simple and memorable, enough that you can say it over and over again. Chants are very do-it-yourself. All magic is, as the housekeeper is sliding my book into a paper bag, Fiona gets a phone call from her mum. School has been cancelled tomorrow, Fiona squeals, covering the mouthpiece. Briefly, Rue and I high-five her quietly. Mum, no, it's not. It's a snow day, basically a public holiday. I don't see why that means I have to mind Joss, that's Jose, that is Sylvia's boy. He goes to crash, for God's sake.